Stop wasting my time, ghetto girl. You don't belong here. Karen Bradley slammed her hand on the mahogany table. Maya's water bottle flew off, crashing to the floor. The HR director stood up, towering over the seated candidate. Look at you. Karen's finger jabbed toward Maya's face. Cheap clothes, that hair. You think Stanford's gonna save you here? She grabbed Maya's portfolio, flipping through pages mockingly. Marketing director? Please, try the cleaning crew downstairs. Karen tossed the portfolio back. Papers exploded across the floor like confetti. Maya Williams sat frozen. Her hands trembled slightly in her lap, but her voice remained steady. Are you finished? Honey, I haven't even started. Karen's laugh was vicious. Security's one call away. Through the glass walls, other candidates stared in shock. A phone lifted, recording secretly. Maya's dark eyes never left Karen's face. Something dangerous flickered there. Have you ever witnessed someone's biggest mistake happen in real time? Interview timer. 42 minutes remaining. Maya bent down slowly, collecting her scattered papers. Karen watched with arms crossed, tapping her Louboutin heel impatiently against the marble floor. Hurry up. I have real candidates after you. As Maya gathered her documents, something caught the light. A black card slipped from her wallet. American Express Centurion. She quickly tucked it away, but not before Karen's sharp eyes noticed the metallic gleam. Fake credit cards now? Karen snorted. You people and your knockoffs. Maya straightened, papers neat in her hands. You people? Don't play dumb. I've seen every trick in the book. Karen circled her desk like a predator. Let me guess. Affirmative action got you into Stanford. Daddy's gang money paid the bills. The conference room door was glass. Outside, receptionist Linda Martinez shifted uncomfortably at her desk. She'd worked here 2 years, seen Karen's interviews before, but never like this. Linda glanced around nervously, then pulled out her phone. She opened Instagram Live. Hey everyone, she whispered to her screen. Something bad is happening here. Real bad. Viewer count, 23 and climbing inside the conference room. Karen continued her assault. Maya Williams. She butchered the pronunciation deliberately. M-Y-U-H, like the bird, right? How ethnic. It's Maya. Sure it is. Karen flipped through Maya's resume with theatrical disgust. Stanford MBA, marketing strategy, client relations. Sounds impressive on paper. She held up the resume, squinting. But can you handle our clientele? Fortune 500 companies. Old money. They expect refinement. Karen's eyes swept Maya's appearance again. Our clients lunch at country clubs. They golf at exclusive resorts. They notice things like presentation. Timer. 38 minutes remaining. Maya's portfolio lay open on the table. Among the papers, a boarding pass peeked out. First class, private terminal. Karen didn't notice it yet. Tell me about your leadership experience, Karen said, settling back into her chair. I led a team of 15 at... 15 what? McDonald's workers? Karen's laugh was sharp. I need specifics, real leadership, not community organizing or whatever you people call it. Linda's live stream viewer count jumped. 147 people watching. Comments flooded in. This is insane. Someone recorded this. Call the news. Is this 2024 or 1954? Linda angled her phone carefully, trying to capture audio through the glass. In the waiting area, 2 other candidates, both white men in expensive suits, whispered to each other. What's happening in there? Asked Brad, a Harvard graduate. Looks like someone's getting schooled, replied Chad, straightening his Yale tie. About time someone put these diversity hires in their place. They smirked, watching the drama unfold through the glass walls. Timer. 35 minutes remaining. Let's talk salary expectations, Karen said with mock professionalism. The posting listed $185,000 to $220,000. Karen nearly choked. You think you're worth $200,000? Honey, I started our janitors at $15 an hour. That seems more your speed. Maya's fingers tightened on her portfolio, but her voice stayed level. I have 8 years' experience in luxury brand marketing. Luxury brands? Karen's eyebrows shot up. Like what? Payless shoes? Walmart fashion? The cruelty was surgical, precise. Each word is designed to cut deeper. I worked with Cartier, Tiffany & Company, and Louis Vuitton on their— Stop! Karen held up her hand dismissively. I don't need your fantasy resume. Let's be realistic about your limitations. She stood up, walking to the window overlooking downtown. This company employs 15,000 people globally. Our board includes former Fortune 500 CEOs. Our clients are worth billions. Karen turned back to Maya. Do you honestly think you belong in those boardrooms? Maya reached for her phone to check the time. As she did, her sleeve pulled back slightly, revealing a flash of rose gold. A Patek Philippe watch. Vintage, inherited, worth more than Karen's annual salary. Karen's eyes locked onto it. Suspicion flickered across her face. Nice watch. Where'd you get it? Canal Street? It was my grandmother's. Right. Karen's voice dripped sarcasm. Grandma the— What did she do? Clean houses? Timer. 32 minutes remaining outside. Linda's live stream exploded to 412 viewers. Someone had shared it to Twitter with hashtag #MeridianTechRacism. Y'all, this HR lady is unhinged, Linda whispered to her phone. This girl is just sitting there taking it. I can't believe this is my job. The cleaning lady, Rosa Gutierrez, pushed her cart past the conference room. She slowed, sensing the tension. Rosa had cleaned these offices for 5 years. She'd seen Karen's cruelty before, but this was different. This was public. Rosa pulled out her phone and started her own TikTok live in Spanish. Miren esto, gente. Esta mujer está siendo muy cruel con esta chica negra. Esto no está bien. Rosa's viewer count, 89, growing rapidly. Regional manager Mark Stevens walked past Linda's desk. He noticed her phone. Martinez, what are you doing? Linda quickly flipped her phone down. Nothing, sir. Just checking messages. Mark glanced toward the conference room, where he could see Karen gesticulating wildly at Maya. Is everything okay there? I don't know, sir. Mark frowned. The last thing they needed was drama, especially not with the company's IPO review coming up next month. Timer, 29 minutes remaining. Inside, Karen was building to her crescendo. Look, let me be honest with you. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a false whisper. This company has standards. Image matters. Our board, our clients, they expect a certain aesthetic. Maya's voice was dangerously quiet. What aesthetic is that? Professional. Polished. Someone who fits our culture. And I don't fit your culture? Karen's smile was pure poison. Sweetie, you don't even fit in that chair? Through the glass, Linda's live stream caught Karen's lip movements. A viewer with deaf interpretation skills typed in the comments. She just said, you don't even fit in that chair. This is discrimination. The hashtag #MeridianTechDiscrimination started trending locally. Timer, 26 minutes remaining. The conference room door opened. Mark Stevens entered with his practiced corporate smile. Karen, is everything going well? Perfect timing, Mark. Karen's demeanor shifted instantly, becoming the consummate professional. I was just explaining to Miss Williams that we might have better opportunities in our entry-level positions. Mark sized up Maya with cold calculation. I see. What kind of experience are we looking at? She claims to be a Stanford MBA, Karen said with air quotes. Marketing strategy. Claims? Maya's voice cut like glass. Mark chuckled. Well, we all know how these programs work nowadays. Diversity initiatives, lowered standards. Linda's hands shook as she held her phone. The comments were screaming, "Record everything. Call a lawyer. This is evidence. Someone help her." Maya reached into her Hermes Birkin bag, worn, understated, but unmistakably authentic to the trained eye. She pulled out a leather portfolio, then her phone. "I need to make a call," she said quietly. "Interview's not over," Karen snapped. "It is for me." Maya speed-dialed a number. It rang once. Mark and Karen exchanged glances. Something was wrong. Maya's entire energy had shifted. The calm was still there, but underneath it... "Hi, honey," Maya said into her phone. "It's me. I'm at the office, 47th floor." Karen's face went pale. The office. Not your office or the building, the office. "Karen Bradley's conducting my cultural assessment." "Yes, the one you approved." Mark grabbed Karen's arm. "Who the hell is she talking to?" Maya's voice continued, steady and terrifying. "The interview's going exactly as we discussed. Very educational. Interview timer. 24 minutes remaining." Karen's face was drained of color. Mark Stevens stepped closer, his corporate smile faltering. "Hang up the phone," Karen demanded, her voice shaking slightly. Maya continued her conversation as if they weren't there. "The cultural fit assessment is very thorough. Karen's been extremely detailed in her feedback." Mark lunged for Maya's phone. "I said hang up." Maya pulled back smoothly, standing for the first time. At 5'7", she wasn't tall, but something in her posture made both executives step back. "I'm speaking with my husband," she said calmly. "Your husband can wait," Karen snarled, recovering her composure. "This is my interview room, my rules." Live stream explosion. Linda's count hit 2,847 viewers. The comments were flying. "She's calling her husband." "Karen is panicking." "This is about to get real." "Someone call the police." Through the glass wall, Brad and Chad pressed closer, their earlier amusement replaced by nervous energy. "Dude, this is getting intense," Brad whispered. "Should we, help her?" Chad asked uncertainly. "Help who?" "The diversity hire?" They stayed seated, phones out, recording their own clips. Timer. 22 minutes remaining. Maya stepped toward the window, phone still pressed to her ear. Her voice dropped lower, more intimate. "Yes, she mentioned our janitors make $15 an hour. Very specific about the pay scale." A pause. "Karen also had interesting opinions about Stanford's admission standards." Karen spun toward Mark. "Who the hell is she married to?" Mark was already pulling out his phone, frantically typing. "Maya Williams. Maya Williams." His fingers flew across the screen, searching LinkedIn, Google, anywhere. "No social media presence," he muttered. "That's weird." Rosa's TikTok. 456 viewers and climbing. "Esto se está poniendo muy loco," Rosa whispered in Spanish to her phone. "La mujer está llamando a su esposo y los jefes están asustados." Her followers were translating in real time. "This is getting crazy. The woman is calling her husband and the bosses are scared." Timer. 20 minutes remaining. Security guard James Washington appeared in the doorway. At 55, he'd worked building security for 8 years. He'd seen executive meltdowns before, but never with live streams recording. "Someone called about a disturbance?" Karen pointed accusingly at Maya. "She's disrupting our interview process. Remove her." James looked at Maya, who was still speaking quietly into her phone. She wasn't yelling, wasn't making threats, wasn't even raising her voice. "Ma'am, I need you to end the call. James said reluctantly. Maya held up one finger, a gesture so natural, so authoritative, that James actually waited. I understand. Honey, 47B conference room. Yes, I'll stay put. She ended the call and looked at James with a slight smile. Sorry about that. Family emergency. Combined viewer count across all streams. 4,123. Karen's panic was morphing into rage. Family emergency? This is a job interview, not a social hour. The interview ended when you told me I belonged at McDonald's, Maya replied evenly. Mark tried to regain control. Let's all calm down. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. Wrong foot? Maya's laugh was soft but dangerous. You told me Stanford lowered their standards to let me in. Was that the wrong foot or the wrong mouth? Timer. 18 minutes remaining. Linda's live stream chat exploded with new viewers joining. What did I miss? Recap. HR lady being racist. AF. She called her husband. Something big is coming. This woman is too calm. She knows something. Linda whispered to her phone. Y'all, she just ended a call with her husband. And these executives are shook. Something's about to go down. Outside in the hallway, other employees began gathering. Word was spreading through the building like wildfire. Did you hear about the interview on 47? Someone's live streaming it. Karen Bradley's losing her mind. Timer. 16 minutes remaining. Maya walked back to her chair and sat down gracefully. She opened her portfolio again, pulling out a document Karen hadn't seen before. Since we have 16 minutes left in my scheduled time, let's continue. Karen's voice cracked slightly. Continue with what? Maya slid the document across the table. It was a detailed organizational chart of Meridian Tech Solutions, not the public version, but the internal hierarchy showing reporting structures, compensation bands, and diversity metrics. Mark's eyes went wide. Where did you get that? Research, Maya said simply. I always prepare thoroughly for interviews. She pointed to Karen's name on the chart. Senior HR Director, hired 18 months ago. Salary, $147,000. Direct reports, 12. Diversity hiring rate under your leadership, 11%. Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish. That information is confidential. Is it? Maya's finger traced across the page. Industry standard for tech companies is 42%. Meridian's at 11. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. James, the security guard, shifted uncomfortably. He'd been called to remove disruptive candidates before, but this woman wasn't disruptive. She was methodical, prepared, and she had information she shouldn't have. Ma'am, I still need to ask you to leave, he said, but his heart wasn't in it. Maya looked at him with genuine sympathy. James, how long have you worked here? 8 years, ma'am. Ever seen an HR director this nervous during a routine interview? James glanced at Karen, who was pacing behind her desk, phone pressed to her ear, whispering urgently to someone. No, ma'am, I haven't. Timer, 14 minutes remaining. The story had jumped to Twitter. Someone created a thread. Live thread, woman being discriminated against at Meridian Tech job interview. The HR director told her to try McDonald's and knocked over her water. She called her husband. Plot twist incoming. Hashtag Meridian Tech racism. Retweets, 1,247. Likes, 3,891. Growing by the second. Maya opened her Birkin bag again, pulling out another document. This one made Mark take an involuntary step backward. Meridian Tech Solutions, Financial Performance, Q3 2024, Maya read aloud. Revenue, $2.3 billion. Net profit, $847 million. Largest contracts, Nike, $127 million. Toyota, $89 million. Ben & Jerry's, $56 million. She looked up at Karen. All three companies have diversity requirements for vendor partnerships. Interesting coincidence. Karen finally found her voice. How do you have our financial reports? Maya smiled for the first time since entering the room. It wasn't a pleasant smile. Same way I have your hiring statistics. The same way I know about the Nike contract renewal meeting next Thursday. Same way I know Toyota's considering pulling their manufacturing software deal. Timer. 12 minutes remaining. The conference room felt smaller now. Karen and Mark were both on their phones making frantic calls. James stood by the door, uncertain whether he was keeping Maya in or keeping others out. Through the glass, the crowd of employees had grown. Linda's live stream showed at least 20 people pressed against the windows and door frame. This is unprecedented, Linda whispered to her phone. I've never seen executives this rattled. And she's just sitting there like she owns the place. Maya checked her watch, the Patek Philippe that Karen had mocked. 12 minutes, she said to no one in particular. Right on schedule. Karen slammed her phone down. I don't know who you think you are, but you're about to learn. The conference room door opened. Elevator ding in the distance, Maya's phone buzzed. A text message. She glanced at it and stood up again. Excuse me, she said politely. My ride is here. Karen's face went purple. Your ride? We're not finished. Maya gathered her papers, including the confidential documents that should have been impossible for an outside candidate to possess. She slipped them back into her portfolio with practiced efficiency. Actually, Karen, we're just getting started. Timer. 10 minutes remaining. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Expensive shoes on marble floors. Multiple people walking with purpose. The live stream viewers could hear them through Linda's phone. Someone's coming. Those sound like executive footsteps. Oh, snap. This is it. She called reinforcements. Maya walked toward the door, passing James, who stepped aside automatically. She paused at the threshold and turned back to Karen and Mark. By the way, you should probably call building maintenance. That spilled coffee is going to stain. The footsteps in the hallway grew louder. Timer. 9 minutes remaining. Interview. Timer. 8 minutes remaining. The footsteps stopped outside the conference room door. Maya stood perfectly still, her hand resting on the door handle. Through the glass walls, every employee on the 47th floor had gathered. The live stream viewers were at fever pitch, comments flying faster than Linda could read them. Someone's here. Big boss energy. She's not scared at all. This woman knows something. Karen and Mark huddled together, whispering frantically. James, the security guard, looked between Maya and the door, completely lost. Maya smiled, not the pleasant professional smile from before. This was something else entirely. Karen, Mark, she said softly. I'd like you to meet my husband. The conference room door opened. David Williams stepped inside. 6'2", salt and pepper hair. Custom Tom Ford suit that cost more than most people's cars. Behind him walked 3 other executives, the kind of people who appeared on Forbes covers and CNBC interviews. The live stream exploded. Linda's viewer count, 12,847. Holy shit. That's the CEO, David Williams. She's the boss lady. Karen is so fired. Linda's hand shook so violently she almost dropped her phone. Y'all, she whispered, that's David Williams. The David Williams, CEO and founder of Meridian Tech Solutions. Brad and Chad, the 2 candidates still sitting in the waiting area, dropped their phones in shock. Dude, Chad whispered, we were laughing at the CEO's wife. We're so screwed, Brad replied, frantically deleting his recorded videos. Timer. 7 minutes remaining. Karen's face went from purple to gray to completely white. Mark actually stumbled backward, knocking into a chair. Mr. Williams, Mark stammered. Sir, we didn't know. Nobody told us. David Williams didn't look at them. His eyes were locked on his wife, scanning her for any sign of distress. 8 years of marriage had taught him to read her expressions like weather patterns. "How did it go, sweetheart?" His voice was gentle, intimate. Maya walked to him, accepting his kiss on her cheek. "Very educational." Karen and Mark were extremely thorough in their cultural assessment. David's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Thorough how? They suggested I try McDonald's instead. Questioned my Stanford credentials. Made some interesting observations about my appearance and my grandmother's profession. Rosa's TikTok exploded. 2,341 viewers. "Dios mío," Rosa whispered in Spanish. "Es la esposa del jefe, la CEO wife." The Spanish-speaking viewers were translating for English speakers. "She's the boss's wife. The CEO's wife. Karen is done." Rosa pushed her cleaning cart closer, pretending to wipe down nearby surfaces while keeping her phone recording. This was better than any telenovela. Timer. 6 minutes remaining. Behind David stood Chief Financial Officer Patricia Carter, General Counsel Robert Martinez, and Head of Corporate Development Sarah Johnson. The executive team that ran a $2.3 billion company. Karen finally found her voice. "Mr. Williams, there's been a misunderstanding." "I didn't realize. Nobody informed me that your wife—" "Would you be applying for a position at my company?" David's tone was arctic. "Under her maiden name? Using her own qualifications?" Sarah Johnson stepped forward, tablet in hand. "Sir, we've been monitoring the social media situation. The live streams have gone viral. # Meridian Tech racism is trending in 12 cities. Maya opened her portfolio, pulling out the documents she'd shown Karen and Mark. "I have detailed notes from our conversation. Would you like me to share them with the team?" Mark tried desperately to salvage the situation. "Sir, this was just a routine screening. Standard protocol for all candidates." "Standard protocol." David repeated the words slowly. "Patricia, what's our standard protocol for senior marketing positions?" CFO, Patricia Carter consulted her tablet. "Behavioral interviews with departmental heads. Skills assessment with marketing team. Final presentation to the executive committee. Not cultural fit assessments with HR." "No, sir. That was discontinued 18 months ago. Too much legal exposure after the Johnson settlement." Timer. 5 minutes remaining. David turned to General Counsel Robert Martinez. "Robert, refresh my memory. What constitutes workplace discrimination under federal law?" Robert's voice was clinical, precise. "Adverse employment actions based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin. Comments about appearance, intelligence, or cultural fit can constitute a hostile work environment. Monetary damages average $300,000 per incident." Maya pulled out her phone, showing the screen to David. "I recorded the last 23 minutes of our conversation, for quality assurance purposes." Karen's legs gave out. She collapsed into her chair. "The recording is automatically backed up to cloud storage," Maya added helpfully. "For transparency." Combined live stream viewers, 18,952. The hashtags were trending nationally now. Hashtag Meridian Tech Racism, -47K tweets, hashtag CEO, wife, -23K tweets, hashtag Karen got fired. 89K tweets. Someone had created a TikTok compilation of Linda's live stream highlights. It already had 127,000 views and climbing. Local news stations were calling Linda directly, asking for permission to use her footage. Timer. 4 minutes remaining. Maya addressed Karen directly for the first time since David arrived. "You asked about my grandmother earlier." "The one who gave me this watch." And she held up the Patek Philippe. "Dr. Dorothy Williams. First black woman to graduate from Johns Hopkins Medical School, 1954. She let that sink in. She cleaned houses to pay for medical school. Not because she wasn't smart enough for scholarships, because scholarships weren't available to women who looked like her. Karen's eyes filled with tears. Not from remorse, from pure terror about her mortgage, her kids' college tuition, her entire life unraveling. This watch represents 70 years of my family refusing to accept limitations imposed by people like you. Mark was frantically texting someone on his phone, probably his own lawyer. David placed his hand on Maya's shoulder. What would you recommend we do about this situation? Maya consulted her notes. Karen suggested I apply for janitorial positions at $15 per hour. Perhaps she'd like to explore those opportunities herself. Timer. 3 minutes remaining. Head of Corporate Development. Sarah Johnson stepped forward. Mr. and Mrs. Williams, we need to discuss damage control. The live streams have gone viral. Local news stations are already calling. CNN's corporate correspondent is requesting an interview. David nodded grimly. Schedule an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. I want recommendations for comprehensive policy review. He looked directly at Karen. Ms. Bradley, you're suspended pending investigation. Building security will escort you out. Karen finally broke down completely. Please, Mr. Williams. I have a mortgage, kids in college. I made a mistake. You made several mistakes, Maya said quietly. The first was assuming I didn't belong here. The second was questioning my qualifications. The third was insulting my grandmother. The last was not realizing you were wrong. Patricia Carter whispered something to David. He nodded. Karen, our legal team will be in touch regarding the settlement discussion. I suggest you retain counsel. Timer. 2 minutes remaining. James, the security guard, approached Karen's desk. His expression was unreadable, but there was something like satisfaction in his eyes. Ma'am, I need to collect your badge and company phone. Karen's hands shook as she fumbled with her ID lanyard. 8 years of calling James by his first name, treating him like furniture, and now he was escorting her out. This isn't fair, she whispered. Maya heard her. Fair would have been treating me with basic human dignity. Fair would have been evaluating my qualifications instead of my appearance. Fair would have been doing your job professionally. She paused. But you're right. This isn't fair. It's justice. Timer. 1 minute remaining. David turned to the crowd pressed against the glass walls. Employees scattered like startled birds, pretending they hadn't been watching the whole drama unfold. But Linda kept her live stream running. Final viewer count, 23,417 people watching live. Ladies and gentlemen, David's voice carried clearly through Linda's phone speaker, let me introduce my wife, Maya Williams. She'll be joining our executive team as Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. Maya smiled. Her first genuine smile of the day. Starting Monday, assuming, of course, that I pass the cultural fit assessment, the live stream comments went insane. Queen behavior. Chief Diversity Officer. She played the long game. Karen picked the wrong one. Justice served. Timer. 0 minutes remaining. Meridian Tech Solutions. Executive Boardroom. 24 hours later, Maya Williams sat at the head of the 40-person mahogany conference table, laptop open, presentation remote in hand. Around her sat the company's board of directors, department heads, and senior executives. The same people who'd built a $2.3 billion empire. David Williams occupied his usual seat at the opposite end, watching his wife with undisguised pride and anticipation. Good morning, Maya began, her voice carrying the same quiet authority that had unnerved Karen Bradley. Thank you for accommodating this emergency session. Board Chairman William Hartley, 72 and worth $400 million, leaned forward. Mrs. Williams, we're here because of yesterday's incident. Our stock dropped 2% in after-hours trading. Maya clicked her remote. The massive screen behind her displayed a stark white slide with black text. Meridian Tech Solutions. Discrimination audit results. Actually, Mr. Hartley, we're here because of an 8-year pattern of systematic discrimination that cost us $127 million in lost contracts and exposed us to $54 million in legal liability. Silence fell over the room like a hammer. The tension was palpable. These were people accustomed to controlling narratives, managing crises through PR firms and legal teams. But Maya had something they couldn't control: viral video evidence and public outrage, the data breakdown. Maya's next slide showed a color-coded organizational chart. Meridian employs 15,247 people globally. Our leadership structure tells an interesting story. She used a laser pointer to highlight different sections. C-suite executives, 8 positions, 7 white men, 1 white woman, 0 people of color. Senior vice presidents, 23 positions, 20 white executives, 2 Asian executives, 1 Hispanic executive, 0 black executives. Directors and above, 184 positions, 87% white, 8% Asian, 3% Hispanic, 2% black. CFO Patricia Carter shifted uncomfortably. Maya, these numbers reflect industry standards. Industry standards that cost us the Nike renewal. Maya clicked to the next slide. Board member Dr. Angela Foster, former university president, raised her hand. Maya, while these statistics are concerning, correlation doesn't always... Dr. Foster, Maya interrupted smoothly, let me show you the direct financial impact. Lost revenue analysis. The slide showed a brutal financial breakdown. Nike contract renewal, $127 million. Lost. Reason: failed diversity leadership requirements. Toyota manufacturing software, $89 million. At risk. Review: pending diversity audit results. Ben & Jerry's partnership, $56 million. Terminated. Cited values misalignment after employee complaints. Microsoft integration project, $34 million. Declined to bid. Required diverse project management team. Total impact, $306 million in revenue directly tied to diversity failures. The numbers hit the room like physical blows. Several board members began frantically calculating on their phones. Maya continued, "These aren't abstract social justice metrics. These are Fortune 500 companies with explicit diversity requirements in their vendor contracts." Board member Elizabeth Morrison, former Secretary of Labor, spoke up. "These requirements are relatively new. Companies are still adjusting .. Companies that adjusted early captured market advantage," Maya interrupted. "Our competitors are winning contracts we can't even bid on." She clicked again. The next slide made several board members gasp. Legal exposure analysis. Active EEOC complaints, 23 cases pending. Average settlement cost, $300,000 per case. Total potential liability, $6.9 million. Minimum class action risk assessment, high. Punitive damages. Exposure, $50 to $100 million range. General Counsel. Robert Martinez looked pale. "Maya, where did you get these numbers?" "HR records, legal filings, insurance assessments, all available internally if you know where to look." She paused, letting the numbers sink in. Yesterday's incident has been viewed 2.4 million times across all platforms. We have 847 employment lawyers calling our offices. The hashtag Meridian Tech Racism is trending in 37 countries. Maya walked to the window overlooking downtown, her silhouette commanding against the city skyline. CNN called this morning. 60 Minutes wants an interview. Harvard Business School is preparing a case study on corporate discrimination in the digital age. She turned back to face the room. "We are no longer managing a personnel issue. We're managing an existential threat to our corporate reputation." The competitive analysis Maya's presentation shifted to external data. Let's examine what progressive hiring practices actually deliver. The slide showed competitor analysis. Salesforce, 50% diverse leadership. Revenue growth, 25% annually. Microsoft, 45% diverse leadership. Stock price up 400% over 5 years. Adobe, 52% diverse leadership. Named #1 employer by Fortune magazine, Meridian Tech, 13% diverse leadership. Revenue growth, 8% annually. Diverse teams outperform homogeneous teams by 70% in problem-solving scenarios according to MIT research. They generate 19% more revenue according to McKinsey Global Institute studies. Board member Thomas Crawford, a former Goldman Sachs executive, leaned back in his chair. These correlations don't prove causation. Maya smiled coldly. You're right, Tom. Correlation isn't causation, but discrimination lawsuits definitely cause financial damage, and viral videos definitely cause stock price volatility. She clicked to the next slide showing social media analytics. Yesterday's live stream generated 12.7 million impressions across all platforms. #Meridian Tech. Racism has been mentioned 127,000 times in the past 24 hours. Our brand sentiment score dropped 67%. Marketing Director Steve Walsh winced. Maya, brand recovery campaigns can take months, or we can solve the underlying problem in weeks, Maya replied sharply. The systemic problems. Maya clicked to her most damaging slide yet. Hiring pattern analysis. Past 18 months. Total hires, 1,247 people. Leadership positions filled. 67 diverse candidates interviewed for leadership, 23%. Diverse candidates hired for leadership, 4% interview to hire ratio, white candidates. 1 in 3 interview to hire ratio, diverse candidates. 1 in 12. These numbers suggest either diverse candidates are systematically less qualified or our evaluation process is fundamentally biased. She let that hang in the air. Since diverse candidates come from the same universities, have similar experience levels, and often outperform in skills assessments, I'll let you draw your own conclusions. Department Head Jennifer Walsh raised her hand. Maya, changing hiring practices takes time. Cultural transformation is gradual. Cultural transformation was gradual in the 1960s because it was optional, Maya replied. Today it's a business imperative with quarterly financial consequences. Maya walked back to her position at the head of the table, commanding the room's attention. Karen Bradley wasn't an anomaly. She was a symptom of organizational culture that we've allowed to fester for years. She pulled up internal emails on her laptop, projecting them onto the screen. These are messages from our private Slack channels over the past 6 months. I won't read them aloud out of respect for this professional setting, but they reveal attitudes that make yesterday's incident predictable, not surprising. Board members squirmed as casual racism and sexism from various employees scrolled across the screen. The solution framework. Maya's next slide outlined her comprehensive reform plan. Immediate actions, 30 days. Blind resume screening. Remove names, photos, university logos from initial reviews. Diverse interview panels. Minimum 2 diverse interviewers for all leadership positions. Bias interruption training. Mandatory for all hiring managers. Anonymous reporting system. Speak Up Meridian app with external investigation firm. These aren't suggestions. They're requirements for corporate survival. Short-term goals, 90 days. Leadership Pipeline Program. Identify and fast-track 50 high-potential diverse employees. Supplier diversity requirements. 25% of vendors must be minority or women-owned businesses. Client diversity presentations. Include diverse team members in all major client meetings. Compensation equity audit. External firm to review pay gaps by demographic. Maya paused, scanning the faces around the table. Every major client contract renewal will now include diversity metrics as success criteria. Not as nice-to-have additions, but as deal breakers. Long-term commitments, 12 months. Leadership diversity target, 35% diverse representation in senior roles. Board diversity. Add 3 diverse board members within 18 months, client contract clauses. Include diversity commitments in all major agreements. University partnerships. Establish recruiting relationships with historically black colleges and universities and Hispanic-serving institutions. These commitments will be published quarterly in public reports. No hiding behind corporate speak or vague promises. The financial projection. Maya clicked to her financial analysis slide. ROI analysis. Diversity investment. Implementation cost. $12 million over 18 months. Projected contract wins. $420 million. Legal risk reduction. $50 million in avoided lawsuits. Stock price impact. 15 to 20% increase based on peer company performance. Total ROI. 3,800% return on investment. Chairman Hartley whistled low. Those are impressive projections, Maya. But they're still projections. Maya's smile turned predatory. Actually, William, they're commitments. She clicked her remote one final time. The ultimatum. Ladies and gentlemen, you have 3 options. She stood up, walking slowly around the conference table as she spoke. The 40-foot room felt smaller with each step she took. Option 1. Implement my diversity plan immediately. Accept the financial investment. Rebuild our culture systematically. Capture the revenue opportunities waiting for us. She paused behind Chairman Hartley's chair. Option 2. Continue current practices. Accept the legal liability, lost contracts, and reputational damage. Watch our competitors take market share while we fight discrimination lawsuits in federal court. She completed her circle, returning to her position at the head of the table. Option 3. I resign quietly. Take my evidence to the EECC and Department of Justice. Let federal investigators audit your practices while I consult for your competitors. Maya leaned forward, placing both hands on the conference table. Choose quickly. Nike's contract renewal decision is due Friday. Toyota's board meets next Tuesday. Our window for damage control closes in 72 hours. The silence was deafening. Board members exchanged nervous glances, calculating political and financial risks. David Williams spoke for the first time. All in favor of option 1? 18 hands went up immediately. Opposed? Silence. Abstaining? No hands. Maya clicked off her presentation. Excellent. Implementation begins Monday morning. She gathered her materials with practiced efficiency. Oh, and one more thing. Karen Bradley's severance agreement includes a non-disclosure clause. She'll receive 6 months' salary and benefits in exchange for signed acknowledgement that her termination was justified. She looked directly at Chairman Hartley. The board's annual diversity report will be published publicly every quarter, beginning next month. Maya Williams walked out of the boardroom, leaving 18 of the most powerful people in corporate America staring at each other in stunned silence. David Williams followed his wife out, closing the door softly behind him. Through the glass walls, they could see the board members frantically making phone calls, adjusting budgets, and beginning the process of transforming a $2.3 billion company. All because one HR director thought Maya Williams didn't belong in that chair. 3 months later, Meridian Tech Solutions. The 47th floor buzzed with different energy now. Where Karen Bradley's office once stood, a glass-walled diversity and inclusion center occupied the prime real estate. Maya Williams sat behind a sleek standing desk, reviewing quarterly reports on her tablet. A soft knock interrupted her concentration. Linda Martinez stood in the doorway, holding 2 cups of coffee. Mrs. Williams? I brought your usual latte. Maya looked up, smiling genuinely. Linda, how many times do I need to tell you? It's Maya, and you don't need to bring me coffee anymore. Linda set the cup down carefully. I know, but old habits. Plus, I wanted to thank you again for the promotion. 3 months ago, Linda had been a receptionist live streaming discrimination in secret. Today, she wore a sharp business suit as Assistant Director of Employee Relations. Her Instagram fame transformed into corporate credibility. You earned it, Maya replied. Your documentation of that incident provided crucial evidence for our policy overhaul. Linda beamed. The Speak Up Meridian app has received 247 reports since launch, all anonymous, all investigated within 48 hours. Maya nodded approvingly. What's the breakdown? 60% workplace microaggressions, 30% hiring bias complaints, 10% compensation inequity. We've resolved 89% of cases through mediation and training. The transformation results. Maya's tablet displayed the quarterly diversity dashboard, a real-time snapshot of organizational change. Hiring metrics. Q3 2024. Leadership positions filled. 23 diverse candidates hired. 52% interview-to-hire ratio, now equalized across demographics. Employee satisfaction scores up 34%. Financial impact. Nike contract renewed. $127 million secured. Toyota partnership expanded. $156 million confirmed. 3 new Fortune 500 clients. $89 million in new revenue. Legal settlements avoided. $23 million savings. The numbers told a story of systematic transformation, not surface-level fixes. Maya walked to her office window, looking down at the street where protesters had once gathered with #MeridianTechRacism signs. Now, the same sidewalk hosted food trucks serving employees from the company's new flexible lunch program. Mrs. Maya, Linda corrected herself. There's someone here to see you. An unexpected visitor. Rosa Gutierrez entered the office, but she wasn't pushing a cleaning cart. She wore a professional black dress and carried a leather portfolio. At 52, Rosa had enrolled in Meridian's new employee education program, earning her project management certification while working full-time. Rosa, Maya stood immediately, embracing her warmly. How's the new position treating you? Rosa's eyes sparkled with pride. Facilities management supervisor feels like a dream, mija. But I came to show you something special. She opened her portfolio, revealing acceptance letters from 3 universities. My daughter Sophia got into Stanford, Berkeley, and UCLA. Full scholarships to all 3. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Rosa, this is incredible. Which one did she choose? Stanford, Rosa said softly. She wants to study business administration. Says she's going to be a CEO like you someday. Maya hugged Rosa again, remembering Karen's cruel assumptions about working mothers and their children's potential. The ripple effects. Maya's transformation of Meridian had sparked changes throughout the tech industry. Her quarterly diversity reports, published publicly as promised, became benchmarks for other companies. James Washington, the former security guard, knocked on the open door. Now wearing a security supervisor uniform with sergeant stripes, he'd been promoted after implementing new de-escalation training protocols. Ma'am, the 3 p.m. board meeting is ready for you. Maya gathered her materials. James, how's the new team working out? Excellent. We hired 6 new security officers from diverse backgrounds. Former military, community college graduates, career changers. They're bringing fresh perspectives to campus safety. As they walked toward the elevator, Maya noticed the changes everywhere. The employee photos lining the hallway now reflected the city's demographics. The cafeteria served cuisine from a dozen cultures. Meeting rooms bore names of diverse historical figures instead of mountain peaks and corporate buzzwords. Board meeting. Quarterly review. The same boardroom where Maya had delivered her ultimatum now hosted her regular quarterly update. But the faces around the table had changed dramatically. 3 new board members had joined. Dr. Patricia Washington, former NAACP president, Carlos Rodriguez, Latino entrepreneur, and Janet Kim, Korean-American tech executive. Their presence shifted every conversation toward inclusive solutions. "Good afternoon, everyone," Maya began, her confidence now seasoned by 3 months of successful implementation. Chairman Hartley, once skeptical, now led with enthusiasm. "Maya, I'll be direct. Your initiatives have exceeded every projection. Our stock price is up 23%, and we're attracting top talent from competitors." Maya clicked to her presentation. Instead of problems and warnings, today's slides showed achievements and expansions. Success metrics. Q3 2024. Employee retention up 41%. Diverse employees feeling valued, 89%, up from 23%. Company pride scores, highest in industry. Glassdoor rating, 4.8 out of 5 stars, up from 2.1. Client satisfaction surge net promoter, score 84, industry average 31. Contract renewals, 97% success rate. New client acquisition, up 156%. Average deal size, increased 43%. Maya had learned that moral arguments alone wouldn't sustain change, but financial success made diversity initiatives untouchable. "Our competitors are now copying our diversity hiring practices," Maya continued. "Google poached 3 of our diversity officers. Amazon is implementing our Speak Up reporting system." Board member Dr. Foster leaned forward. "Maya, what's our next phase of growth?" "International expansion," Maya replied confidently. "Our success in domestic diversity positions us perfectly for global markets. European clients specifically request diverse teams. Asian markets value inclusive leadership." The Karen Bradley aftermath. After the meeting, Maya found a sealed envelope on her desk. Inside was a handwritten letter on expensive stationery. "Dear Mrs. Williams, I know I have no right to contact you after what happened. I've spent 3 months in therapy, examining my biases and the harm I caused. I want you to know that losing my job was the wake-up call I needed. I've enrolled in diversity and inclusion certification programs. I volunteer with organizations serving underrepresented communities. I'm not asking for forgiveness or a job reference. I'm writing to say thank you for holding up a mirror that showed me who I really was. The person I was that day is not who I want to be. I hope Meridian continues to thrive under your leadership. Respectfully, Karen Bradley." Maya read the letter twice, then filed it away. Redemption was possible, but accountability came first. The evening reflection. As the sun set over downtown, Maya stood in her office reviewing the transformation statistics one more time. The numbers were impressive, but the human stories mattered more. Linda had become a confident leader. Rosa's daughter was Stanford-bound. James commanded respect in his new role. Hundreds of employees felt valued for the first time in their careers. David Williams appeared in her doorway, loosening his tie after his own long day of meetings. "Ready to go home, Chief Diversity Officer?" Maya smiled, powering down her computer. "In a minute. I'm just savoring this." "What exactly?" "The quiet satisfaction of proving that doing the right thing is also good business." David walked over, kissing her cheek gently. "You know what the board is calling you behind your back?" "What?" "The woman who saved Meridian without firing a shot or filing a lawsuit. They're saying you performed corporate surgery with a scalpel instead of dynamite." Maya laughed softly. Sometimes the most powerful response to hatred is systematic excellence. They walked out together, leaving behind an office that had become a symbol of corporate transformation. Through the glass walls, cleaning crews worked diligently. Rosa's new team, treated with respect and paid living wages. Change wasn't just a policy manual or sensitivity training video. Change was Rosa's daughter getting into Stanford. Change was Linda leading diversity initiatives. Change was 15,247 employees going to work each day, knowing their contributions mattered regardless of their skin color or background. As Maya and David rode the elevator down, she reflected on the irony. Karen Bradley had tried to put her in her place. Instead, Maya had found her place and transformed an entire company in the process. 1 year later, Stanford University Business School, Maya Williams stood at the podium in the packed lecture hall, addressing 300 MBA students. Behind her, a projection screen displayed the now famous headline, "How One Interview Changed Corporate America." "Power isn't about revenge," she began, her voice carrying the same quiet authority that had transformed Meridian Tech. "It's about responsibility. When you have the ability to create change, you have the obligation to use it wisely." In the front row sat Sofia Gutierrez, Rosa's daughter, taking meticulous notes. Her Stanford acceptance had opened doors for 12 other children from her neighborhood, a scholarship program Maya had quietly funded. Maya clicked to her final slide. The numbers 1 year later. Meridian Tech revenue, up 47% to $3.4 billion. Employee satisfaction, highest in industry at 94% client retention. 99.2%, unprecedented in tech stock price. Increased. 156% since the incident, copycat policies, adopted by 247 companies worldwide. The live stream that exposed discrimination has been viewed 12.7 million times, Maya continued. But more importantly, it sparked policy changes in Fortune 500 companies across America. A student raised her hand. "Mrs. Williams, what happened to Karen Bradley?" Maya paused thoughtfully. Karen completed her diversity certification and now works for a nonprofit helping companies identify unconscious bias. Sometimes redemption comes through consequences, not avoidance. Another student asked, "What's your advice for facing workplace discrimination?" "Document everything. Find your allies. Remember that dignity is your superpower, and never let anyone convince you that you don't belong in rooms where decisions are made." As applause filled the auditorium, Maya thought about Linda, now director of corporate culture at 3 other tech companies. About James, who'd started his own security consulting firm. About Rosa, pursuing her MBA at night while managing Meridian's facilities across 5 states. One conversation had changed everything, not through anger or litigation, but through strategic patience and systematic reform. Your turn to create change. Maya stepped away from the podium, but her message echoed in the students' minds and in the millions who'd watched her story unfold. Drop a comment. What workplace discrimination have you witnessed? Your story matters. Share this video if you believe everyone deserves respect in professional spaces. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more narratives of quiet power overcoming systemic barriers. Tag someone who needs to see that dignity and preparation can move mountains. The revolution wasn't televised. It was live-streamed, one authentic moment at a time.